Hi, everybody. I've got the beautiful Ekaterina with us today. I've known Ekaterina for a really long time, years actually, and she's such an incredible and gifted healer. I'm really grateful that she came to Medical Intuitive Mastermind. She's incredible with kids and adults, but it's her kindness and her intuition that really set her apart. It's few people I feel this safe with. So I'm going to let her introduce a little bit of herself to you and tell you a bit of what she does and who she is.
Hi there. My name is Ekaterina, but for most of my friends, they just call me Katya. I have been on a self-healing journey for about 16 years now. It started with a difficult time in my own life when the medical professionals were trying to put a diagnosis on my conditions, but actually I felt I was the only one who knew myself, who knew my thoughts, my feelings, what was happening with me. And I was determined to discover my own way of healing as the doctors were helping. They had their own place in my well-being and getting better. But this is how my intuition got actually really conscious. This is how I started my interest into alternative healing therapies. And the first one that I found was actually Reiki. There was lots of synchronicity around my well-being. And yes. So the first therapy I was using was Reiki, but I've mostly used it for myself and my children when they were younger, how to calm them down and put them to sleep. And that's mostly for my own use. But when I found out Theta Healing in London, that's where Sky and I met. I think this is when I started getting more serious and I wanted to find a way and a path to work professionally as a healer. So Theta Healing, this is 2018 when I came across Theta Healing in London. And I've done most of the basic courses, elective courses, and intuitive anatomy before we came to Skylar Medical Intuitive Mastermind. I knew when you said the first time, and I was keeping an eye on it, but I was not quite ready to jump on. So the second time, I just had to ask you one question, and I still remember the question I asked you. I asked, I'm just not sure, I would love to do it for myself. I'm just not sure whether I'm overestimating myself. Do you remember that?
I remember.
Yes. And Sky said, no, I think you're underestimating yourself. So I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for you. I just needed this little nudge and this little support on your behalf. And I've always feel very lucky to know you, to meet you, to be in your space, to be in your presence. To get from your wisdom, because I think I still haven't learned everything I could learn from you.
That's ridiculously beautiful. You really, you're making me all emotional. So where were you before Medical Intuitive, and where do you feel you are now?
So before, I'm still working in my daily job. I work in a primary school with neurodivergent children, supporting all kinds of behaviors, not just special needs, but also different types of behaviors of family needs. I'm trying to work my way to set up my business, but I have a busy household and a job on the side. So this is where I was at before I started. I do find a Medical Intuitive while I was there. Actually, just before I started the mastermind, I already started conversations with friends. Just a month in December, I've already started having conversation with friends around me who has specific illnesses. So there were discussions around breast cancer or asthma or just a few. And I was like, this is where I might be going. I like helping. It comes always from the heart first. I like to help my friends. Like, this is my motivation. So this started just before the mastermind. And I knew when we started, the big thing will be emotions for me. So I really loved when I saw the discreating emotion technique. Because as I say, as a deeply feeling Scorpio, there's no emotion that I haven't felt or know in this life so far. From the whole
What's
spectrum.
your birthday?
30th of October.
18th of November.
I know you are. I knew it for a long time. I knew it for a long time.
Oh, Scorpio babies.
Yes. So I think that these creating emotions helped me a lot in myself to start with. Of course, the archetypes healing was a deep one as well.
Yeah.
What for the first time during practice groups, I was able to access information about past life, both for myself and others. I had a block before that. Always in theta healing, I would be like, I don't know anything about past lives. I believe in them, but I'm just blocked. I can't access the information. So I think this is what opened up for me during Medical Intuitive. And I just went with the flow when we are supporting the wounded self and whatever guidance comes from them. Yes.
You're already working, like you said, with neurodivergent children, and there's no order of difficulty or difference in miracles. I think a lot of people think, making your divine life purpose a career means that you've made it. But the reality is, when you're serving God, when you're loving your community, when you're loving your children, you've made it. I hear.
Thank you for this.
It's already a huge thing to be able to talk with your friends around such difficult topics, and to be able to support those who are so vulnerable, because children are. It's very different on the ground than it is in theory. Every kid is unique, every adult is unique, and it takes a lot of presence and a lot of emotional muscle to do what you're doing.
And I just remember, because we were speaking so often about, you just have to hear, like your clients in Medical Intuitive, you have to see them, to hear them, to love them, to understand them. And that's pretty much what I do with the children as well. I make sure I'm present with them in their pain or their emotions, that I'm there with them. And I still respect their free will if they don't want to speak about it or it's not the right moment. So I make sure that they are seen, heard, understood, and supported. I do that in my daily job, yes, as well.
It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal.
Yes. But it's always also something. Yes, when I was a child, I didn't feel the emotional support as much as I needed it, because I've always been considered a sensitive child, or not everybody has the depth or the emotional muscles or to support me.
The capacity,
so that's why,
presence,
yes,
especially in the older generation, was often severely lacking.
Yeah. So that's why I kind of made sure that I'm there for my children at home, my children at school. Yes, the children in my life.
It's an incredibly beautiful thing, and you're already very much on your divine life purpose. And when the divine timing is going to happen, it will happen. But there's no need to push or force or I think a lot of people feel they have to choose between one or the other, but it just comes from sacrifice. If you trust it, it works out when it works out. It really does.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
So tell me how soon you started seeing changes happening.
So, as I said, energy was shifting already the month before that. I would say, even if from the yes,
it's so true. It's so true.
Interesting when you were saying that people manifested money. Do you know, I haven't mentioned that during the mastermind, and I know I did the payment plan, but I actually manifested, even if it's through a credit card, exactly the whole amount was there on the credit. I just chose to do a payment plan, but it was exactly the amount for the whole payment of the mastermind.
So true.
And you know how long you've been waiting for me? Like, when we met was 2018, and I said, I want to do the sessions with you, but I was not financially able to do it then. And you were so patient. You were like, I'll wait for you. I'm here for you. I remember that. So I was so happy. I don't find myself so much in a different financial place apart from being a homeowner now. But I think maybe my priorities are slightly different as well. And I made sure when it was the right time, and this was a priority for me and for myself. I was not able to pay 220 personal session 5 years ago, but I chose to pay it for 10 months consistently, just because I know the value, and I've always say I honor your work. And do you know what? As a next step, you are one of the few people that I felt like what true love feels like open heart to open heart. And it was like a real sense, and it's a guide for me. So sometimes it's like, okay, what am I choosing for my life next? And this is part of it. Just my heart was leading me anyway, apart from everything else in my life for the last 10-15 years as well, choosing you as a mentor and
It's a lot of the clearing, because I think it's so powerful in the collective consciousness. So many healers were so busy helping other people, and so often like giving a voice to the voiceless, helping people who don't have anybody else. That it's very much a big part of what I'm doing when we're doing launches is bringing in the support so that you guys can get the help that you so freely give to others.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
And you guys can be really stubborn because it is like you look, from woman to woman, you and I both know it's so easy to bribe people. It's so easy to kind of hook into it and turn someone's divine life purpose into greed instead of service. Without it happens in a moment and you're not even thinking about it. And one day the money matters more than the people. And we're very conscious of that for a reason. We're very guarded against that for a reason. But at the same time, the suffering that's happening, especially with those that are most vulnerable, is huge. And at the moment, it's growing. So us being able to receive more, and also like developing the integrity muscle so that we know when it's crossing a line that doesn't have integrity or things like it's a really essential skill, because I think it's a lesson of the heart to keep others in mind when the rubber hits the road, when there's profit margins and things on the table. The abundance is not just a financial thing, but it's not an easy line to hold, I think, for a lot of people. But it's what you show in that, where you like working with neurodivergent children is where I started. So
yeah.
And I remember how much in the beginning it felt like a betrayal, and it took years to move. And then it's funny how it came back as well, because I let it go and then it came back in another way. I let go of that and something else came, and then it came back as medical intuition. But it's funny how God brings things back, especially things you love. But I think healers are very, and often for the right reasons. We're doing things for reasons much bigger than a paycheck. We're doing things because it's the right thing to do.
I just remembered one thing when you're telling about the course and the changes. I actually had learned to prioritize myself, because it took a lot of discipline as well to be there for the work, for the homeworks, for the meditation, to make sure that I do daily tasks so that I don't get fall behind with the work. Yes. So this was like self-discipline. At some point, I was like, everything was by the minute. I was so on top of everything. And then when one of the biggest breakthroughs that came, then there was a time when I've requested a demo healing. It was just a request, but I feel it like a request to the universe about what put me on the way of searching through alternative healing 15-16 years ago. I just wasn't sure if I've healed the whole of it. So I've put a request for demo healing. And of course, there was a similar situation that came into place in my workplace. And it was with less intensity, but I've just connected the two, and there were some fears that came up. And then there was lots of lessons about me. I let emotions build up too much and hold my voice. I used to let the emotions build up too much and hold my voice back. But actually, this is why I've learned that I need to voice my needs. I need to assert myself. I need to ask for what I need. And I've negotiated different times. There was lots of breakthroughs from this single situation at that time. So I got my healing through just putting the request there and then working through it with the help of the mastermind colleagues as well, with all the swaps and the practice groups.
Organization is such a hidden trauma, and I think it's also such a hidden skill, because people think it's a personality trait. You know, you're either organized or you're not, but it's actually, you know, a skill. And it's also a very powerful habit forming skill, because I will bet you that now that you don't have to do homework, you're still finding a way of studying. You're still finding a way of, correct?
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
a habit thing. It gets in your brain.
I like the inspiration. I'm naturally curious and I like growth and inspiration. Yes.
Yeah, it gets in there. It gets in your bones. Habits are more powerful than anything else. And I think there's three or four reasons around the homework. One is that I really believe that you have to receive what you're giving. And I think
Yes.
deep self-inquiry and the meditations combined with the journaling exercises give you a space to receive before you give, before you're doing swaps, before you're you know, thrown in the giving, you know, without having a chance to really explore you. And the other is that there are habits involved and compassion involved for other people, because I think it's much easier to give homework than do homework, right? It's much easier. It is. So unless you've done it, you don't understand what you're asking of a client or what you're asking of
Yes.
a
Now I
partner.
get you. Yes, I agree. Yes. Yes.
So you know, I think a lot of modalities, you get the book or you get, but you've never had to do it. And if you've never had to do it, you don't understand the courage required and the emotions that might come up and the triggers and the so I knew that it would create that. And the other is I get to see where you guys are on the journey, where you're evolving, where you're growing, where you get stuck. And I know how to meet those needs in a different way, which is, it's a good way of growing together, you know? So that I think helps.
I was mostly scared of the sessions, the case studies we had. So I made sure that I have those very early on booked in and all the technical stuff. This was a challenge for me, but I got them ready and sent by the deadline. This was like one of my biggest challenges from the mastermind.
It's huge. It's so funny, isn't it? How I don't know. I think being seen is something we crave so much, but then the reality of it is so vulnerable that it's so, like you said, it's like it's hard. Even when you want it, it's like, there's stuff you have to work through. But yeah, the case studies show me a lot about where things need to get done, but they also show me you know, just how far you guys have come and how strong you guys are at solving problems now. And it's really good to see. It's nice. It's not nice. It's a privilege. It's an honor to get to see the way you guys work and the way you guys move, you know, and you teach me a lot. You're my homework.
It's mutual. Yeah.
You guys are my homework. I give you homework. You guys become mine.
Oh dear.
Okay. So what would you say to somebody who's thinking about doing it, who's also a busy mom, who potentially is already a carer or already working with people who you know, who have are differently abled in some way, shape, or form? Yeah, what would you say to them?
I would just say to go for it. Make sure you prioritize yourself and commit to the course and to the work. And this is one very sacred space with very gentle, compassionate, and wise guide. I'm talking about you, Sky. And if I can do it, you can do it as well. I think it's totally doable, and it actually supported me. I find all the meditations, I couldn't believe. I've had a very challenging year in my work myself. And everybody, actually in my work, they say I have a patience of a saint. And how do you do it? And I'm like, well, I do it with meditations every evening. So yes, I think actually the mastermind and the meditation supported me in my family life, in my work life. I love the aura healing. I just had a few that were my favorites, or somehow depends in the moment how I do them. As I said, the discreting emotions, the aura healing. There were a few of them. So the mastermind was supportive of myself to move through my current challenges together with the practice groups and all the meditations, and also the understanding and the awareness with the new wisdom that you acquire. I find myself, if I had a challenging situation or whatever materials were bringing up, and I would just, okay, I need to spend some time here for myself, and I would do the healing. It was so quick now. It's the awareness, the meditations. It just happened so quickly, and off you go the next day.
That, like,
Continue with
I'm
your
going
life.
to stop there, because that I know is huge. That I know is so huge for you to say, I'm going to stop here. I need to take some time for myself. I mean,
Yes.
that compared to where we started with Theta, oh my God, that's huge.
No, I know. I've recognized, and now, okay, now is the moment. Now is the time. Yeah, it's building up. But it's even difficult to explain to me and to put it into words now, because you see it, you feel it, it becomes it comes to your awareness. And then if you need to use any of the tools that we've learned through the technique, then you use them to integrate.
Yeah, and it
Even
really
if,
works. And it works very quickly.
yes, very quickly, very deep.
Are you running private sessions? Are you doing packages right now? Or are you just focusing on your kids?
Well, I would love to start private sessions. Packages would be better for me, and because my time is quite limited, so I'll be happy to offer like three people the packages that I've put them somewhere. I'm not sure if the information is coming out anywhere, but it's like packages of 5 sessions, and I have about 3 slots a week, which is like 1 Saturday, 1 Sunday, and 1 during the evening during the week that I can offer. Most probably they'll be booked from September onwards, because my holiday starts soon. And I would like to take the holiday time in August. So I've given you the links, and direct messages would be best to start with while I navigate the technical world.
I'm going to put all of Ekaterina's information underneath the video, including her website links and everything else. But you heard the lady, she's only got 3 slots a week. So run, do not walk if you want her help. She's very gifted, both in theta healing and in medical intuitive technique. And she's got an absolute heart of gold. I wish you the very best summer holiday. Thank you so much for doing this with us. And I can't wait to see what you do.
Thank you, Sky. Love you.